We got the #1 song in the country, man. Let them know, man.
Something strange started circulating online in early 2026, and it didn't look like a normal rap beef anymore. It started with a post from 50 Cent that appeared on Instagram for only a short time before disappearing. But screenshots spread fast, and the title in that screenshot caught everyone's attention: Surviving T.I. and Tiny. The post suggested a documentary project connected to long-standing allegations involving T.I. and his wife, Tameka "Tiny" Harris. At first, people thought it was just another moment in the long history of trolling and rivalry between the two rappers. After all, their tension goes back nearly 2 decades, built on competition, old accusations, and public jabs. But this time the situation felt different. Social media arguments escalated, family members stepped in, and things quickly moved far beyond music. Instead of diss tracks, the conversation turned towards something far more serious. Because when someone like 50 Cent hints at producing a documentary, people pay attention. He's not just known for music anymore. He's built a reputation as a producer who knows how to turn real controversies into massive media events. And that's exactly why this moment has so many people watching closely. What began as another rap feud suddenly looked like the beginning of a much bigger story. In order to understand why that single deleted post created so much noise online, you have to go back and look at the long history between 50 Cent and T.I. Their tension didn't appear overnight. It slowly built over years, starting in the mid-2000s when both artists were at the peak of their influence in hip-hop. At the time, 50 Cent was dominating the charts and representing New York rap with massive success, while T.I. had become one of the biggest voices coming out of Atlanta. Hip-hop fans often frame the rivalry as a regional clash, New York versus Atlanta. While both artists were successful in their own lanes, the competitive nature of the music industry meant comparisons were inevitable. Things took a more personal turn in 2007 when T.I. was arrested on federal weapons charges. Authorities alleged that he attempted to purchase machine guns and silencers from undercover agents. The case quickly became national news and placed T.I.'s career under serious pressure. Facing a possible long sentence, he eventually received a prison term of about 1 year after reaching an agreement with prosecutors. Not long after that case became public, 50 Cent began making comments that fueled a narrative that would follow T.I. for years. In interviews and lyrics, he hinted that the outcome of the case didn't make sense to him. Some fans interpreted those remarks as accusations that T.I. had cooperated with authorities. Within hip-hop culture, being labeled a snitch can permanently damage someone's reputation, so the comments quickly became a sensitive topic. Even though both artists continued their careers successfully, the tension never fully disappeared. Throughout the late 2000s and early 2010s, occasional comments and jokes kept the rivalry alive in the background. It wasn't always front-page news, but fans who followed hip-hop closely knew the relationship between the two men had never been particularly friendly. Years later, a new opportunity appeared that could have turned the rivalry into entertainment instead of conflict. During the rise of the Versus battles, which became popular during the pandemic era, artists began facing off by playing their biggest hits against each other. These events attracted millions of viewers and often turned old rivalries into celebratory moments for fans. T.I. repeatedly suggested that he and 50 Cent should face each other in one of those battles. From his perspective, the matchup made sense. Both had long careers, massive catalogs, and strong fan bases. But every time the idea came up publicly, 50 Cent appeared uninterested. Sometimes he dismissed the idea with jokes, and other times he simply ignored it. For a while, that seemed to be the end of the conversation. But everything started heating up again in early 2026, when T.I. appeared on a podcast during Super Bowl weekend and mentioned the topic once more. According to him, discussions about a potential battle had happened in the past but never moved forward. His comments were interpreted by many fans as suggesting that 50 Cent had backed away from the idea. That comment quickly reached social media, and as people who follow hip-hop know, 50 Cent has never been someone who stays quiet when he feels challenged. Instead of responding with a song, he started doing what he often does best: posting content online that sparks conversation. One of the first things he shared was an old public service announcement clip in which T.I. had appeared years earlier. The video promoted cooperation with crime-stopping programs and encouraged people to report illegal activity. By reposting it, 50 Cent seemed to be reminding the public about the same snitch narrative that had circulated years before. The post immediately started trending across multiple platforms. Fans began debating whether it was a harmless joke or a deliberate attempt to embarrass T.I again. Either way, it reopened an old wound that many people thought had already faded into hip-hop history. But the situation escalated even further only a few days later. In February 2026, 50 Cent posted an image of T.I.'s wife, Tameka "Tiny" Harris, on Instagram. The caption mocked her appearance in a way that many people online considered disrespectful. Within minutes, fans began reacting. Some defended the post as typical rap beef humor, while others felt it crossed a line by targeting someone's spouse. What happened next pushed the situation into a completely different level of controversy. T.I.'s son, King Harris, quickly went live on Instagram to respond. Instead of delivering a calm message, he reacted emotionally and directly addressed 50 Cent in front of thousands of viewers watching the stream. His words were intense, and he referenced something extremely personal from 50 Cent's past. The comment focused on 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, who died when he was still a child. Her death has long been part of 50 Cent's life story and something he has spoken about in interviews over the years. When King Harris brought it up during the livestream, many viewers immediately felt the situation had crossed a serious boundary. Clips from that livestream spread rapidly across social media platforms. Some people applauded King for defending his mother, arguing that he was responding to disrespect with the same energy. Others believed mentioning a deceased parent was something that should never happen, regardless of the circumstances. The conversation quickly turned into a debate across the hip-hop community. Artists, bloggers, and fans all began sharing their opinions. Some defended T.I.'s family, while others warned that attacking such a personal topic could escalate the conflict far beyond music. The next day, T.I. posted a video celebrating his own mother's birthday. In the clip, he was dancing with her while one of his songs played in the background. On the surface, it looked like a normal family moment, but many fans believed the timing carried a deeper message. By publicly celebrating his mother, he appeared to be indirectly responding to the controversy surrounding the comments about 50 Cent's mother. Around the same time, another member of the Harris family joined the situation musically. T.I.'s son, Damani Harris, released a diss track titled Ms. Jackson. Unlike the heated livestream comments that had gone viral, the song focused more on lyrical shots rather than deeply personal insults. Still, the message was clear. The entire family was now involved in the conflict. As the days passed, the feud continued growing online. Every new post seemed to trigger another reaction from fans and commentators. What once looked like a simple rap rivalry had transformed into a family-wide dispute playing out in front of millions of people on the internet. And then something happened that changed the direction of the entire story. Instead of responding only with music or social media jokes, 50 Cent hinted at something much bigger. A screenshot briefly appeared online referencing a documentary project with a title that immediately grabbed attention. The name suggested a focus on serious allegations connected to T.I. and Tiny that had surfaced several years earlier. The post disappeared quickly, but by then thousands of people had already seen it. And once that idea entered the public conversation, the feud between two rappers suddenly looked like it might turn into something far more serious than anyone originally expected. Once that screenshot began circulating online, the entire conversation surrounding T.I. and Tameka "Tiny" Harris changed almost instantly. Up until that moment, the feud between T.I. and 50 Cent had mostly looked like the kind of rivalry hip-hop fans had seen many times before. There were insults, diss tracks, Instagram posts, and heated live streams. But the possibility of a documentary shifted the tone from entertainment to something much more serious. The reason the idea carried so much weight is because the subject it referenced was not new. Years earlier, allegations involving the couple had already surfaced publicly and generated major headlines across the United States. While those accusations never resulted in criminal charges, they remained part of the public record and continued to be discussed in media coverage and online debates. The story first gained widespread attention in early 2021 when entrepreneur Sabrina Peterson, who had previously known the couple, posted a public accusation against T.I. She claimed that years earlier he had threatened her during an argument. The claim quickly went viral and triggered a wave of reactions online. Shortly afterward, Peterson said that multiple women had privately contacted her, describing separate incidents involving the couple. Within a short period of time, attorneys representing several accusers began speaking publicly about the situation. One lawyer stated that a group of women had come forward with claims describing encounters that allegedly took place between 2005 and 2018. According to those statements, the accusations involved parties or private gatherings where women said they were given drinks that they believed had been tampered with before experiencing situations they later described as non-consensual. Because the accusations were serious, the story began appearing in major media coverage. Several women spoke with journalists, describing similar patterns in their experiences. The details varied from person to person, but the general allegations centered on the idea that women had been invited into environments where they later felt they were unable to give clear consent. As the reports spread, legal representatives for some of the women sent letters to law enforcement agencies requesting investigations. Those letters described what the lawyers believed to be a pattern of misconduct spanning more than a decade. At the same time, T.I and Tiny strongly denied every allegation, calling the claims false and motivated by financial demands. The situation eventually drew the attention of investigators. At one point, the Los Angeles Police Department confirmed that it had received reports connected to alleged incidents that supposedly occurred in California. However, after reviewing the information available, prosecutors from the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office announced that criminal charges would not be filed. One of the main reasons cited for that decision was the statute of limitations, which limits how long prosecutors have to bring charges after an alleged crime takes place. In many of the claims being discussed, the alleged events had occurred years earlier, making prosecution legally impossible under existing law. Even though criminal charges were not filed, the controversy had already affected the couple's public image. Television projects connected to their family faced uncertainty, and online discussions about the allegations continued for months. Supporters of the couple argued that the absence of charges proved the accusations were unfounded, while critics believed the legal outcome did not necessarily resolve the questions raised by the claims. Years later, another legal development briefly reopened the discussion. In 2024, a civil lawsuit was filed by a woman who used the name Jane Doe. The case relied on a California law that temporarily allowed certain older claims related to sexual abuse to be brought to court, even if the usual filing deadlines had already passed. In the lawsuit, the plaintiff described meeting T.I and Tiny at a nightclub in Los Angeles many years earlier. According to the filing, she alleged that she had been given a drink that caused her to feel disoriented before being taken to a hotel room where she claimed an assault occurred while she was unable to give consent. Attorneys representing the couple denied the allegations and filed legal motions asking the court to dismiss the case. Months later, the judge granted that request after the plaintiff failed to respond to certain filings required by the court process. As a result, the case was dismissed. Following that outcome, T.I and Tiny again stated publicly that they were innocent and described the accusations as false claims intended to damage their reputation. Despite the legal outcome, the earlier controversy remained widely known among fans and entertainment media. That is exactly why the idea of a documentary project suddenly created so much attention online. People understood that if someone were to produce a detailed series about those allegations, it could reintroduce the entire story to a much larger audience. And when it comes to producing television content that captures public attention, 50 Cent has built a strong reputation in recent years. Through his production company and various partnerships with major networks, he has been involved in several successful television projects that reach millions of viewers. Unlike traditional rap feuds that revolve around songs and interviews, a documentary operates very differently. Instead of quick exchanges on social media, it presents a long-form narrative. Interviews are conducted, timelines are reconstructed, and multiple perspectives are placed together into a single story that viewers watch from beginning to end. This kind of format can dramatically shape how audiences understand complicated events. A well-produced documentary does more than simply repeat information. It organizes years of scattered headlines into a structured narrative that feels coherent and powerful. Many people immediately compared the rumored project title to the well-known documentary series Surviving R. Kelly, which explored decades of accusations involving the singer R. Kelly. That series became one of the most watched documentaries of its time and sparked renewed public discussion about allegations that had been circulating for years. Because of that precedent, the possibility of a similar project focused on T.I and Tiny immediately caught the attention of fans, journalists, and commentators. Even people who had not followed the original controversy began researching the story again once the screenshot spread across social media. Meanwhile, the feud between the artists continued unfolding online. 50 Cent posted additional content referencing the situation, including old clips related to T.I.'s past legal issues. His captions often included humor or sarcasm, but they also ensured the topic stayed visible in trending conversations. T.I., for his part, maintained a defiant tone. He released music that appeared to respond indirectly to the situation and posted messages suggesting that he was ready to address the conflict through music or other platforms. At one point, he even hinted that if documentaries became part of the battle, he might have material of his own to present. That comment sparked another round of speculation among fans. Some wondered whether T.I. might attempt to counter any documentary by telling his own story about the feud and about 50 Cent's past controversies. Others believed the entire situation might simply be part of the long tradition of dramatic promotion that often surrounds major artists. But one thing was becoming clear as the weeks passed. The conflict had already moved far beyond the original idea of a versus battle or a typical rap rivalry. Now the discussion involved legal history, media power, and the possibility of a documentary that could reach millions of viewers. And in the world of modern entertainment, controlling the narrative can sometimes matter just as much as winning the argument itself. As the situation continued unfolding online, one thing became increasingly clear to many observers. The conflict between 50 Cent and T.I. was no longer just about music. What had started years earlier as rivalry and competition was now evolving into something that looked more like a battle over narrative, reputation, and influence. To understand why so many people took the documentary threat seriously, it helps to look at how 50 Cent has built his career outside of music. Over the past decade, he has transformed himself into a major television producer. Through his production company and partnerships with networks and streaming platforms, he has created shows that reach large audiences and generated massive online discussion. In other words, he is not just someone posting jokes on social media. He is someone who understands how stories become television and how television can shape public opinion. When viewers watch a documentary series, they experience a carefully structured narrative. Producers gather interviews, assemble timelines, and combine footage in a way that makes complicated stories easier to understand. Once a documentary reaches a wide audience, it often reshapes how people remember events that may have originally been scattered across years of news headlines. This is why many commentators believe the possibility of a documentary was more significant than any diss track released during the feud. Diss songs might trend for a few days, but a long-form documentary can stay in the public conversation for months or even years. That realization changed how many people began interpreting 50 Cent's actions during the feud. His posts and music releases started to look less like random trolling and more like a pattern. First came social media provocation, then public debate, and then the suggestion of a larger media project that could explore the controversy in detail. For people familiar with the entertainment industry, that sequence looked strategic. At the same time, the Harris family continued responding publicly. T.I. remained outspoken about his willingness to face criticism. In interviews and posts, he emphasized that he had nothing to hide and that he believed the accusations against him and his wife were false. His position remained consistent. The claims were not supported by criminal charges, and he intended to defend his reputation against anyone who attempted to present the story differently. However, the involvement of family members in the feud created complications. Earlier in the conflict, King Harris's live stream comments had already triggered intense backlash across social media. Many fans felt that bringing up the death of 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, crossed a deeply personal boundary. Within hip-hop culture, insults are common, but attacking the memory of a deceased parent was widely viewed as something that went too far. Several commentators within the music industry said the moment shifted public sympathy toward 50 Cent, even among people who normally disliked his trolling style. The controversy grew even larger when photos circulated showing King Harris wearing clothing that referenced Sabrina Jackson. The image spread quickly across social platforms and sparked another round of criticism. Some supporters of T.I. defended the action as retaliation for earlier insults toward Tameka, Tiny Harris, while others argued that the feud had clearly moved into dangerous territory. Meanwhile, other members of the Harris family tried to keep their responses focused on music rather than personal attacks. T.I.'s son Damani Harris released his own diss track, choosing to respond with lyrics instead of live-stream confrontations. Fans who heard the song noted that the approach felt more traditional within hip-hop culture, where competition through music has long been the accepted way to settle rivalries. Still, the larger narrative continued growing beyond music. Bloggers, commentators, and entertainment analysts began discussing what might happen if a documentary actually entered production. Some speculated that producers might attempt to contact individuals connected to the earlier allegations, while others wondered whether new interviews could emerge after years of silence. Even without confirmation that a documentary was being filmed, the mere possibility created tension around the situation. That is because reputation in the entertainment industry can be extremely fragile. Artists often spend decades building brands through music, business ventures, and media appearances. But a single high-profile controversy can quickly change how audiences perceive them. T.I., for example, has built a career that extends far beyond rap music. Over the years, he has appeared in films, launched business projects, and invested in ventures connected to Atlanta's cultural scene. His influence in hip-hop history is tied not only to hit records, but also to his role in shaping the popularity of trap music. If a documentary were to present the allegations in a way that reached a massive audience, some analysts believe it could affect multiple areas of his public life. Concert promoters, film studios, and brand partners often pay close attention to public perception when deciding whether to continue working with an artist. Of course, the opposite outcome is also possible. If a documentary appeared and failed to present new information, some fans might see it as a personal attack rather than an objective investigation. In that case, supporters of T.I. could rally even more strongly behind him, arguing that the project was simply another chapter in a long-running feud. This uncertainty is part of what makes the situation so unusual. Both sides appear confident in their positions, yet neither side has revealed exactly what evidence or material might exist behind the scenes. At one point, T.I. hinted that he could respond with his own documentary if necessary. He suggested that he might present a different perspective on the conflict, potentially addressing controversies surrounding 50 Cent's own life and business history. However, no detailed plans for such a project have been publicly confirmed. For now, the entire story remains suspended in a strange moment of anticipation. No network has officially announced a documentary titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. No trailer has been released. No platform has confirmed distribution. Yet the possibility continues to circulate online, largely because of 50 Cent's reputation for turning internet drama into actual television projects. Over the years, he has shown an ability to convert conflict into content. Whether through scripted shows or reality programming, he understands how to transform headlines into narratives that attract viewers. Because of that track record, many people believe the silence surrounding the rumored documentary may actually be part of the strategy. By allowing speculation to spread without confirming details, the story remains alive in public conversation. Meanwhile, the original rap feud that started the entire situation almost feels secondary. Diss tracks, Instagram posts, and live-stream arguments may have sparked the conflict, but the real stakes now appear tied to something much larger: the power to control how the story is told. And in the modern media landscape, whoever controls the story often controls the outcome. For fans watching from the outside, the biggest question is simple. Will this feud remain an intense but temporary moment in hip-hop culture? Or will it evolve into a documentary that reshapes how the public views the careers of everyone involved? At this point, nobody outside the inner circles of the artists truly knows the answer. But one thing is certain: the situation has already proven how quickly a rap rivalry can transform into a media battle with consequences far beyond music. If you've been following this story closely, then you already know this situation between 50 Cent and T.I. is far from a typical rap feud. What started as online exchanges and diss records has turned into something much bigger involving reputation, media power, and the possibility of a documentary that could change how the public views the entire controversy surrounding T.I and Tameka Tiny Harris. Right now, a lot of questions are still unanswered. Will a documentary actually be released? Will new details about the old allegations ever surface publicly? Or will this entire situation remain another intense chapter in hip-hop history that fades with time? One thing is certain, the story isn't over yet. In the world of entertainment, narratives can change quickly, and when powerful voices are involved, the next development can arrive when nobody expects it. If you found this breakdown interesting and want to stay updated on stories like this involving major artists, industry controversies, and the real stories behind the headlines, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. And now we want to hear from you. Do you think this feud will stay in the music world, or could it really turn into a major documentary battle between these two artists? Share your thoughts in the comments below.